on more to see why he's saying this. At least if you follow how everyone else does it, or how everyone else teaches it. Why the standard way is inferior. But there is a method that does work better than any other form of real estate investing. And it doesn't come with the headaches of traditional real estate methods. And then I talk about more of the reasons why it's inferior. It doesn't come with the traditional headaches. No phone calls at 2 a.m. to fix broken toilets, tenants avoiding paying rent and coming up with the most wild excuses you can imagine, and the constant stress of always trying to find more good residential real estate deals. This is why I sold all my residential properties. The return on time and capital I was looking for just wasn't there. So I tried something new, and instantly it was like a breath of fresh air. A simple property with professional tenants and minimum upfront investment cost. These are office warehouses that I call flex spaces. And while I was more than skeptical at first, right away it was a night and day difference. And it was only then that I realized, why be a property manager when you can be a real estate investor? And ever since then, not only have I been investing in flex spaces like crazy, but I've also helped others do the same and make over 7 figures per development. And if you want to learn how, click here to join the Flex Space network. The economy is shifting rapidly, and there's only one thing I can say for sure, and that is I'm so glad that I went all in on flex spaces while there's still so much opportunity. Because come in a few years from now, who knows? It probably won't be as accessible to beginners as it is now. So do yourself a favor and don't wait till later. And then you just sign off. That's all for now, Hamza. And that's exactly what that looks like. I could go through line by line and the specific reasons why I put everything, but you should be able to kind of see exactly what I did. We literally just looked at a reel where he was talking about phone calls at 2 a.m. We're fixing broken toilets. And this is, again, just going through and relating to the common problem. And then there's only a few points that you might not have been able to pick up. So usually when you tell these stories, you're going to want a main lesson at the end. A main lesson, why you're telling people a story, what's the bottom line, and what do they need to take from it. And also another thing to add is that I'm talking about why he's convinced. One really common problem that copywriters run into is they keep trying to convince people, you need to get into flex spaces. You need to get into this before the opportunity is too late. Whereas what's more effective than that is showing people why you're convinced. I'm so glad that I got into this while the opportunity was there, because there have been so many other opportunities that I've just watched pass me by, or watched other people make money with while I was sitting there on the sidelines, kicking myself, just saying, man, if only I were to take that small risk and get in there, I would be reaping the rewards right now. And luckily, I was able to get in on flex spaces and the opportunity is still there, but maybe not forever. So what does that tell them? That tells them that number one, you're convinced and you're showing them why you're convinced and telling them why. And also it gives urgency and scarcity. This is called situational urgency. I'll get into it a little bit more as we go on, but guys, this is what an email looks like. This is how everything works together. This is how it flows. This is the structure. So the structure here is problem. And then I give a little bit of what's in it for me. We're going to learn again, this as we go on, but I talk about the problem a little bit. I tell them what I'm going to show them or how I'm going to help them in this email. I go deeper on the problem, and then I talk about what the solution is. And also notice how I'm being intriguing and I'm not giving people the answers right away. That's why I sold all my residential properties. The return on time and capital I was looking for just wasn't there, so I tried something new. When I say something like I tried something new and it was an instant breath of fresh air, it sounds like I'm going to say whatever the thing is in the next sentence, but I don't say it all the way until a couple lines later. I talk about what it is. I talk about my experience with it. I talk about why it's awesome, and then I reveal it. Whereas some people do it backwards. They reveal what it is, and then they talk about how good it is. So we're going to look at a lot more examples, and I'm going to show you exactly how that works. But when you're writing copy, you're going to realize that it sounds like a friend talking to a friend, but you are not writing it as if it was an English exam, or you're writing an exam or an English paper in MLA format or something. It's not a supernatural way of writing, but this is the most intriguing way to write by far. So everybody, congratulations. You have now written your very first email with me. What I do strongly suggest is that you take everything that I said right here and you make sure that you bookmark it for later. At the end of this video, when you reach the very end, you're going to want to come back and just look at everything that I'm doing here, okay? And make sure you download all of these and you use them to your advantage. So now we're going to go over the fundamentals of copywriting. Now we're going to break it down into more of a formula. The rules and the fundamentals of copywriting. These are the rules of thumb that apply to all forms and mediums of copywriting that you're going to want to keep in mind, okay? So this is something that you're probably going to want to break out your notes for. So here's the 4-part fundamental copy formula. Here's what every piece of copy necessarily pretty much does. Attention, consumption, persuade, and action. So attention. In order to deliver your message, you first have to get past the brain's quote unquote spam filter. Okay, this is what I call it. Then consume. In order for your copy to have an effective message, it must be consumable and intriguing. There must be a reason for them to actually look at it, and it must be easy for them to read through it. Next is to persuade. Shifting people's beliefs in your favor is how you're able to sell to them over time. Next is action. Most pieces of copy end with an effective call to action, and that's basically it. So, how do we capture attention and get past the brain's natural spam filter? Some things we have to understand. So the inner spam filter explained. In order to have a chance at bringing the reader into a selling state of mind, you need to make them read first. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how good your email is, your sales page, or whatever piece of copy it is. If it doesn't hook the reader in and grab their attention at the beginning, then it doesn't matter. This is why people spend so much time on a headline on a sales page or the hook in their ads, is because the beginning is what matters the most. If you hear Mr. Beast talking about making YouTube videos, or you hear a popular businessman talk about creating ads or something, for example, they always talk about how on YouTube, it comes down to the research of the title and the thumbnail in the first 10 seconds. Those are the most important part of the whole video. That's what they spend half the time, if not more on. In the same with people's ads, in the same with people's sales pages.
The thing people undervalue the most is literally the first 10 seconds of the video. Like, yeah. I think I can quote it. I tied up an FBI agent and I have $100,000 in this bag. Here's a knife. Good luck. And I just run away. Yeah. Like, it gives you everything you need. Yeah. No wasted words, short and concise, and then tension.
So it's really that important to get people's attention right off the bat. So what actually gets past this filters? This is where you're going to learn effective techniques to get people's attention, and then how to write filter infiltration copy, how to implement filter infiltration methods into your copy and use them to your advantage. So this is exactly what it looks like. Guys, people are shown so many advertisements, so many messages every single day, and they ignore the vast majority of them. But only some of them get people's attention. And that is what we're going to focus on here. So here's an exercise. A really, really easy way to help you conceptualize this is to look at other really good hooks. And a great place to go for hooks and to really break down why they just grab your attention is Reddit. If you go to any Reddit and just look at the top posts for this year or the top posts ever, you're going to see some stuff that infiltrates your brain filter. So I'm going to read some of the titles and you guys tell me which ones you think you have to look at and open and read it to understand. So I've never found a black woman attractive, but I think you're beautiful in quotation marks. I let the woman start the conversations in online dating, and these are the results. I'd like to see that. My son was diagnosed with something far worse than cancer. You see how it intrigues you there? She doesn't tell you what it is. She tells you what it's worse than. So now you're wondering, oh damn, I wonder what's worse than that. Don't Google yourself. Horror story. Intriguing. Why shouldn't I Google myself? What's the horror story? What did this person find? My son's teacher has been giving some strange homework. Strange homework. What do they mean by that? So while sure, this might not be business copywriting, you can see exactly why they're actually grabbing your attention and how they do it. So how to write copy that grabs the reader by the eyeballs. Pro tip, the best way to get your message heard is to decrease the effort required to consume and then increase the intrigue. This relationship is what makes all of the difference. When you start out your copy, it's important to be easily understandable. It's important to write lean. Lean just means without any fluff, without any fat. You want it to be short, punchy, to the point. You want it to grab somebody's attention. And when you do that and also add a bunch of intrigue, this is what makes your message read. But let's look at the opposite. Let's say it's a super long intro and you're not really getting to the point until later, and it's not really that interesting or intriguing. Nobody's going to read it. So what are the 3 parts of grabbing people's attention? What's the formula? So first of all, make a promise which is not spammy. What is the reader going to get out of this? Avoiding pain can be a benefit too. So the thing with making promises, whether it be especially in email, but also in ads and on landing pages, is that if you're putting here's how to make $10,000 and then $, in the next 20 days, that looks like spam. So the Gmail spam filters, Gmail automatically filters the things that it thinks are spam. And when you use spammy words, you're going to end up in the spam folder. Essentially, this means that all the emails you're sending out for your clients, instead of getting a really good open rate, like 25% or 30% of the people you send to actually open, they're not going to see it because it's going to be in their spam folder. So now only about 5% or less people are going to see it. So you want to make sure that you have promises that are not spammy. This is also important for things like ads. Facebook or Meta lets you run ads on their website, but it's extremely difficult to be compliant. That's what they call it, compliant. Because if anything looks like a spam, even a little bit, they're going to shut down your ad account, and then you're not going to be able to run any ads anymore. Next is intrigue. non-confusing. It's important to intrigue people, make it simple, concise, and non-confusing. Something to make the reader curious, they don't understand, but wants to. They want to know what it is. They don't know what it is, but they want to know what it is. You're giving them some hints, but you still can't guess it. And this is a really important part with intrigue, is that imagine that you say to somebody, well, guess what we're going to eat today? And then they make a bunch of guesses, and you're like, nope, it's not that. And they're like, oh, damn, can you give me a hint? And you say, yeah, it starts with an M. And they're like, M, McDonald's. No, damn, what is it? And now they're really interested. They're really invested because they feel like they should know this. They really, really want to know this. And everything that they think it's going to be, it's not. So that makes them want to know even more. And then next, of course, is emotional, but not clickbait. So high tension moments that makes you want to know what happens next. And it's supposed to be something that's like dramatic, like a soap opera or like Love Island or something where, oh my God, this girl's boyfriend just cheated on her and they're keeping a secret. And then she found out in episode 6. There's a reason why half of Netflix is just filled up with some weird Love Island type of reality TV, is because it's emotional, it's dramatic. Let's go deeper onto each of them. First of all, promise, but non-spammy. Grabbing attention. When you're writing something to get people's attention, you want it to be exciting and interesting. Imagine you're telling your friends about a new video game. You wouldn't just say, it's fun. You might say, this is the coolest game ever. You can fly around and fight dragons. So you're giving them more details. You're like, damn, that's cool. Giving a big promise. In copywriting, giving a big promise means telling people something amazing that they will get if they read more. It's like saying, if you play this game, you'll have so much fun, you won't want to put it down. A promise needs to be exciting and make people curious. Now we talk about the promise and how it cannot be spammy. So not being spammy. Spammy is when you're being too over the top with your messaging and your claims sound fake. This is super important too. Instead, be honest like you're talking to a friend. So you wouldn't say, here's how to literally pack on muscle and look like you're Jack and be accused of using steroids in 25 days without lifting any weights. It's like, that sounds like BS. Next is to be compliant with platforms. Platforms are places where you share your writing, like Facebook or Gmail. They have rules to make sure everyone is safe and happy. Being compliant means following these rules and not making fake promises or saying things that aren't true. It's like playing a game by the rules so everyone can have fun. And to put it all together, when you write, you want to grab attention by start with something exciting. Hey, I want to know how to get super good at video games? Next is to give a big promise. Tell them what they will get. I'll show you the tricks to beat every level fast. Next is to not be spammy, being nice and honest. These tricks really helped me, and I think they'll help you too. And that goes with making sure that you are showing why you're convinced rather than convincing other people. Next is to be compliant. Follow the rules. It still takes effort, but the payoff is worth it. Okay, so next we're talking about being intriguing, but also non-confusing. So intriguing. You want to make people curious and excited to read more. By being intriguing is like telling the beginning of a really good story. You give them just enough to get them interested so that they want to find out what happens next. Okay, but how do we avoid confusion? Avoiding confusion means making sure your writing is clear and easy to understand. If people get confused, they stop reading because it's too hard to follow. It's like telling a story to your friends. If you keep jumping around or using words they don't understand, they'll lose interest. Another point that's super extremely important when it comes to copywriting is that you don't want to use over technical jargon. You don't want to make it sound fancy, even if you're talking to business owners, okay? Even if you're talking to really smart people. You want to know why? Because an easy to digest and understand message is going to help you reach the people who aren't good readers. And to the people who are good readers, it's going to help them understand even better. So it's literally a win-win. So making the reader crave what's next. You want the reader to be eager to find out more. Just like when you watch an exciting movie and you can't wait to see what happens next. This keeps them reading and interested in what they have to say. And guys, like this is what intrigue is. Intrigue is like an itch. It's like imagine being extremely itchy on your back and you just have to scratch it. There's no other way. Or it's like really, really needing to use the washroom. Like it doesn't matter where you're going, where you're driving, you're gonna pull over and you're going to use the washroom. You just need to, you crave it. And you want people to crave reading your intrigue or crave reading your emails or your copy just like that. So how to do it? Well, you start with the hook. Begin with something that grabs their attention. Next, you keep it clear, make sure the sentence makes sense and everyone follows the one before it. So for example, imagine doubling your Instagram followers in just 4 months without spending a dime. Here's how I did it. Then you want to keep it clear. First, you need to understand the power of engaging content. But it's not just any content. We're going to talk about this a little bit as we go on, but this is a belief shift. First, you need to understand the power of engaging content. But it's not just any content. Add a little mystery. This is where you give them hints, but you don't reveal anything. This is a very, very powerful point of copywriting. There's a special type of post that gets me 7 to 10 times more engagement than regular posts. And then you build up slowly. Make sure the story builds to the next step so they stay curious. And no, it's not posting reels, carousels, or single photos. And now you're sitting there like, it gets 7 to 10 times more engagement than regular things, but it's not all of the things that I thought it was going to be. What on earth type of content is this? Then you end with the tease. Finish with the hint of what's next. It works by combining all of those content types into one. If you want to know what it is, how I used it to double my following in 4 months, then click here. Awesome. So putting it all together, what does it really look like? So to be intriguing, start with something that makes them curious. Avoid confusion, make sure it's clear and easy to follow, make them crave what's next, and keep them wanting more. So in simple words, write like you're sharing an exciting and easy to follow plan that keeps your friends curious and eager to learn the next step. And next is to be emotional while avoiding clickbait. So incorporating emotion. Emotion in writing means creating a sense of urgency, excitement, or surprise. It grabs attention by making people curious about what's happening and eager to find out more. So why is it important? Using emotion can make your message more compelling and memorable. It keeps readers on the edge of their seats and makes them want to keep reading. But it's important to be truthful and deliver real value and avoid misleading your readers, okay? So clickbait is essentially when a YouTube video says, yo, here's how to make $1 million. And then you open up the YouTube video and he's like, just kidding, I'm not actually gonna show you how to make $1 million. I just kind of wanted to talk about my day. That's clickbait, is when the subject line of the email doesn't match what's inside the email, or the thumbnail on a YouTube video doesn't at all match what's actually in the YouTube video at all. And it throws you for a loop, and it basically makes you feel cheated. There's no actual value in there. But however, something that's dramatic and emotional might be pretty much clickbait, but if you give actual value in it and you tie it into what the title is and make it actually related, this is a way that it has the effectiveness of clickbait, but it's not actual clickbait because you're getting value. And you won't be sad or mad or feel cheated because you're actually getting the thing that you signed up for. This is another important lesson to do with copywriting, is find out what would actually make people click and surprise them enough to click. And then how can you make the value, how can you understand how to write it related to that point? So how do we actually do it? So we can start with a dramatic hook. Begin with something surprising and shocking. So this is one I've actually used before in the past. I'm quitting copywriting and starting dropshipping. Here's why. Build suspense. Make the reader wonder what's going to happen next. After years of copywriting, I've heard beginners state over and over again that they're quitting to go start some new shiny business like dropshipping. And then you reveal the twist. Provide the unexpected tie into your attention-grabbing dramatic first line. Even I thought of quitting copywriting so many times, but I'm glad that I didn't. Here's how to succeed even if you feel stuck. So the angle here is, I'm not saying that I'm quitting copywriting, but everyone else, I've heard it so many times, I'm quitting copywriting and starting dropshipping. And then of course they start dropshipping and they're like, nah, dropshipping wasn't for me. I'm going to start an agency. And then they start something else and start something else and start something else and they don't get anywhere. That's the actual angle. Whereas I understand what I'm doing with the hook. I'm making people think that maybe they're assuming that I'm talking about me, but I purposely put it in quotation marks, which they probably would have missed. So how to avoid clickbait? Clickbait uses tons of drama with no actual tie-in and doesn't deliver any value, which can frustrate your readers. Instead, be dramatic but truthful, ensuring you provide real insights and information. That's really the key. So when we put it all together, what do we get? Incorporate drama. Start with something surprising or shocking. Build suspense and create tension. Make the reader curious and engaged. Then you reveal the twist, provide a surprising solution, and you end with a dramatic promise. Offer a bold statement that keeps them engaged. So in simple words, write like you're telling a thrilling story with surprising twists and turns, keeping your friends excited and eager to know what happens next, all while being honest and delivering real value. And as a pro tip, another great way to add emotion and drama is to controversially disagree with a commonly held belief. I call this making the big challenge. So making money online is impossible. Imagine if I were to say that. Then that's like the big challenge. So when you challenge things that are very commonly held beliefs, a lot of people want to know why you're challenging them. They're intrigued, they're interested. This is why people like Andrew Tate got so popular, because he would say all these super, super crazy things and people would watch them, especially his haters, would watch them and want to know more.
Well, what color's your Bugatti? Oh, fuck off then.
Next, we need to talk about optimizing for consumability. Now, while this sounds super long and maybe like some complicated words, basically, we're talking about making things just super easy to read and digest. That's basically it. So we first need to understand that most people today suffer from TikTok brain. Okay, TikTok brain is just the way that I say people are suffering from short form content, which is leading to shortened attention spans. Short form content is causing a complete shift in consumption. Now people can only pay attention to something for 60 seconds or less. Now we need to understand pacing. When you go slow or fast, content that's constantly fast or slow paced is boring. If it's only fast, it's boring. If it's only slow, it's boring. It's important to make your message easy to consume by using pacing. So think of an action movie, for example. Imagine if it was literally just a 90-minute fight scene and there was nothing but exploding cars and craziness. That would get boring after like 10 minutes because it's all fast, all fast, all fast. Now imagine if the whole movie is just talking and waiting and no action scenes, no fight scenes, or no anything. That's an example of it being too slow. But what do great action movies do well? They build up slow and then they go fast, and then they go down slow again, and then they go fast, like a roller coaster. And next is creating intrigue, making readers itch to know what's next. Intrigue is saving the big punchline until the end and revealing the punchline while planting another setup. Here specifically, we're talking about open loops and closed loops. So last time we learned a little bit about what intrigue is. Now I want to talk about how to create intrigue and then give the punchline, but create more intrigue so that people keep reading. This is something that a lot of copywriters struggle with as well, because they kill the intrigue by giving away the punchline too early, and then there's no more open loop to keep the reader reading. So we're going to go through some examples like that. But first, I want to ask you a question. Which version are you more likely to read? The one here on the right that's all big and chunky, or the one here on the left that's more spaced out? You can read it a lot easier and you kind of understand how it's supposed to be said. Because when I read this, I can actually say it out loud and I know what I'm talking about. I know how it's supposed to sound. Here on the right, it's not as much the same. And it's a lot of big chunky paragraphs that makes me not really want to read it. It kind of looks like a book. People don't want to read books. Whereas this over here, this looks a lot easier to read. That's why most modern copy looks like this over here on the left. So this is a good example of what pacing looks like. So on the left, you can see there's some short lines at the top, some longer lines, some short lines. That's going to get consumed. But then there's bad pacing, which is just, this is an example of all slow, long, drawn out paragraphs and sentences. And that's what that looks like. So optimizing for TikTok brain. So we have to understand TikTok brain. This refers to the shortening of attention spans by consuming quick, engaging content like found on TikTok. People now expect information to be delivered fast and in an easily digestible format. And this is another pro tip for you guys, is that it's really not about the amount of value that you give just overall. It's really not about that. It's about the value you provide per minute. So if you have a high amount of value in your email, let's say, and it's only 200 words, that's going to be way better than a email that's 10,000 words, but you put a lot of quote unquote value in it because people aren't going to read it because it's just too long. So if you make it short, punchy, to the point, highly valuable, that is what you're looking for. Why it's important. Number one, short attention spans. People don't spend much time reading long messages. If your copy isn't easy to understand quickly, they'll move on without getting your message. Engagement. Quick, engaging content keeps people interested. If your writing is concise and impactful, people are more likely to read it and take action. Retention. Simple, clear messages are easier to remember. When people remember your message, they're more likely to engage with your content again and again. Pretty self-explanatory. So how do we actually do this? And what are some examples? So start with a strong hook. Grab their attention immediately. So an example of this. Add 2 inches to your biceps in just 90 days. Here's how. So this is obviously something that's geared towards bodybuilders. Bodybuilders are always out here measuring their arms and stuff. So when you say something like adding 2 inches to your biceps in just 90 days, here's how, it's very specific to who you're talking to and what they actually want. If I were to say, here's how to grow your arms, super vague. It's not a new, fresh angle or idea, whereas this is a new, fresh angle right here. Next is you want to use short sentences and paragraphs to keep it simple and to the point. So for example, first, focus on compound exercises. They work multiple muscle groups at once. And then another way that you can do this is to use bullet points and lists. And this is something that you're going to learn about more as we go on, but bullet points are one of the best things to master as a copywriter, because this is how you can give the most amount of value in the shortest and most digestible way possible. Example, lift heavy weights, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight daily, get 8 hours of sleep each night. Use visuals. Add images, emojis, or icons to make your text visually appealing as well. Now, it's important to note that with emojis and stuff, you don't want to go too overboard. But if you're writing something like an email, you can put 1 or 2 in there. If you're writing something like an Instagram caption, you can probably put more in there. But they can also convey emotion. So if you put like a laughing face emoji after something, or if you put a serious face or a shocked face, that will convey emotion. Or you can just put it in there to draw the reader's attention. So if you have one big lesson in your whole email and you want attention drawn to it, you can bold it, but you can also like put a pointing finger to it as well, a pointing finger emoji. Next, we want to make sure that we're being direct. Tell them exactly what they need to know without any fluff. So consume a protein shake within 30 minutes after your workout to maximize muscle growth, for example. And then we want to give them a call to action. Encourage them to take immediate action. Download the free 90-day arm building plan and start gaining muscle. That's what it looks like. So let's put it all together. When you write, you want to start with a strong hook by grabbing their attention. Use short sentences and paragraphs to keep it simple and direct. Use bullet points and lists to make it easy to scan. Use visuals, make your text visually appealing. Be direct, get straight to the point, and you want to put a call to action. Okay, so encourage immediate action. So in simple words, write like you're sharing a fun and exciting message that's quick and easy to read, keeping your friends interested and eager to take action right away. And next, we're going to talk about understanding pacing. What's going on, everybody? I hope you are locked and loaded. Today, we are going to be learning some copywriting for free in the free copy mega course. So understanding pacing. Look, pacing in writing is like the speed of a roller coaster. Sometimes it goes slow to let you enjoy the view, and other times it speeds up to give you a thrill. In copywriting, knowing when to slow down and when to speed up keeps your reader interested and engaged. This is extremely important because oftentimes I see people start with these really long blocks of text, and then maybe they have some shorter ones way down at the bottom of the email, or maybe they just do all short text, and it feels like I'm just reading vertically. These are things that are going to kill an email. They're going to kill any type of copy because the pacing is just off. Think of it like an action movie. When there's an action movie and there's nothing but fight scenes, eventually the fight scenes get boring and you're like, wow, this action movie isn't very good. But other times there's this like exposition and like these guys are talking to these guys. You get kind of confused. You're bored. You're like, yo, where's the people running up walls and doing matrix flips and stuff? So why is it important? First and foremost is clarity. Slowing down the pace helps explain important details clearly, ensuring the reader understands your message. Engagement. Speeding up the pace with short, exciting sentences keeps the reader's attention and makes your writing dynamic. And next is flow. Good pacing creates a natural rhythm, making your copy enjoyable to read and more persuasive. So how do we actually do this? We know it's important, but how do we do it? So first and foremost is to slow down to explain. Use longer sentences and more detailed explanation when you need to clarify something important. For example, to build muscle effectively, you need to understand the role of protein in muscle repair and growth. Eating the right amount of protein helps your muscles recover faster and grow stronger. So that is kind of like the value portion of the email. That's where you can do a little bit of explaining, but of course you don't want to get too deep into the explaining. You don't need to go into protein synthesis and protein per pound and ratios and like too much, because doing that is just, now it feels like you're reading like a study or something. It's just really boring. So remember, you want to keep it up with pace. And also when I'm explaining things, usually I like to leave something small in there, like some bullets. We're going to learn about bullets as we go on, but you know, you can see some bullets right here. Bullets are essentially very short and punchy pieces of copy that break everything up and communicate the most in the least amount of words. So we're going to keep going. Next is to speed up to excite. Use short, punchy sentences to add excitement and keep the reader engaged. Example, lift heavy, eat right, sleep well, watch your muscles grow. This is really good for doing like recaps as well. At the end of your email, if you have like a main lesson, you want to encapsulate it in just one sentence. Next is to mix it up. Alternate between slow and fast pacing to maintain a natural flow and keep the reader interested. Example, building muscle isn't just about lifting weights, it's about strategy. It's simple. Random lifting wastes time. Next is to use traditional phrases. Help the reader move smoothly between different paces. For example, now that you know the basics, let's get to the fun part, seeing those muscles grow. So this is especially important when you're doing listicle emails and high value emails. Of course, we're going to get into what that actually means and types of those emails as we go on. So putting it all together, when you write, you want to slow down to explain, use longer sentences for clarity, speed up to excite, use short sentences to add excitement, mix it up, alternate between slow and fast, and of course, use transitional phrases. Smooth transitions keep the flow. In simple words, write like you're talking to your friends on an exciting roller coaster ride. Slowing slowing down to show them the view and speeding up to give them a thrill. Keep them engaged and eager to continue. Now you understand pacing. Next is creating persuasion that shifts beliefs. This is possibly the most important part when it comes to anything marketing and copywriting. And I'm going to leave you with a small thing here that's not actually written or anything, but it's something that I've been hearing and learning about a lot lately. So some people say there's no difference between marketing and sales. I disagree. The difference between marketing and sales is this. Remember Jake Paul, whenever he fights people, he fights like UFC people, but he only wants to do boxing. Why is that? Because he knows he has a better chance at winning if it's boxing. That is marketing. Once they're actually in the game and they're fighting, that is sales. Marketing essentially gets people closer to the sale. Sales is what gets people to get pushed over the edge. So the difference here is, let's say you are a content copywriter, meaning you're writing the reels on an Instagram page, or maybe you're writing the stories, or maybe you're even doing the emails. Those are different kind of types of content copywriters. But then you also have sales page copywriters, or video sales letter copywriters, or text sales letter copywriters. These are guys who are in sales. This is about selling the product. Whereas the marketing aspect is selling the click, selling the next step, selling people beliefs to actually get closer to eventually buying. And that's why it's so important to understand belief shifting when we go into copywriting. So let's just hop right into it. So creating persuasion that shifts beliefs. The first step to shifting is understanding. And so important. This is not only important in sales, but also in marketing, and also whenever you're on your sales calls. The first step to shifting or anything is understanding. You need to understand people first and foremost on an individual basis. You're never going to get people to change their mind unless you first make them believe that you understand their current position. How to convince people by showing them you're convinced. This one's, again, super important. Convincing people causes friction. It's impossible to argue with someone based on what they believe and what convinced them. We're going to go through some examples as we go further. The elements of showing over telling. Trust on the internet is at an all-time low. People are more likely to believe you when you provide proof without a reasonable doubt. Okay, so let's go through point by point. Belief shifting is crucial to copywriting. If someone has a desire, it's almost always their beliefs that stop them from getting it. Desire, I want to lose weight and get in shape. Limiting beliefs, healthy food is expensive, I'm big boned, my genetics aren't good, and I'm too busy. These are their limiting beliefs that are stopping them from getting the thing. It's not that they don't know what to do, especially in fitness. Fitness is a really good example because, fitness is so hard for people to write about, especially beginner copywriters, because oftentimes I see them make their value. You need to lose weight by eating less calories than you actually consume. No, you need to lose weight by burning more calories than you consume. And you need to build muscle by going to the gym consistently. It's like, yeah, but people know that, but they're always going to say, yeah, but how? The how behind those things is where the value is at. So for example, how to curb your cravings and not actually eat when you want to. How to actually eat way less calories, or how fasting is actually the best way to eat less calories and you're going to stay full for a longer amount of time. Or here's the best routine to do while you're at the gym. Or here's how to be more consistent when going to the gym. These are different types of value that you want to write about, and not just you need to go to the gym or you need to lose weight by eating less calories, because people already know they should do that. It's all about their limiting beliefs and being able to shift those. In your copy, if you're able to simply prove you understand their beliefs, prove their beliefs are wrong, and then prove beliefs that serve you and your product right, they've basically bought before you've even had to sell. Okay, and we're going to talk about that more, selling without even selling. So what does this actually look like? Here's a really good example. First of all, their limiting belief. I can't lose weight because I hate being hungry. Here's a challenging belief. Starving yourself and being hungry all the time isn't the answer. Okay, so we understand their belief. So many people think that they have to be hungry all the time, when in fact you don't have to be hungry all the time. Then you sympathize with their belief. Most people are told less calories equals less weight, but they've been lied to. So this is where you prove the old belief wrong. Being hungry all the time leads to binge cycles and is terrible for weight loss. You're going to starve yourself, and the pain is going to be so apparent. It's going to be so excruciating, and you're also going to have that thought in your mind, you know what, I've been really good the last 4 or 5 days. Why don't I just have one scoop of ice cream? Anyways, 3 tubs of ice cream later, and you're cooked, bro. You're absolutely done. Anyways, I'm going off the scripts, as you can see. But next is to prove the new belief. Prove it right. Losing weight is about strategic ways to stay full throughout the day while eating less calories. So that's the belief shift. shift. And then you use the new belief to sell. If you want a meal plan that's based around your time and taste preferences, click here. So you see what he did there? And then there's also some photos at the bottom to actually prove the point even further. So as you can see, these are great examples because essentially when people are creating fast food, the number one thing in their mind, like McDonald's when they're making Big Macs, is how can we make this food for the cheapest? And how can we make it taste the absolute best and be the most addicting so that people come back and buy more? Whereas if you buy the food on your own, you're actually going to be paying less because McDonald's isn't actually taking a bunch of the profit. So McDonald's basically upcharges you a bunch. They create a burger for 40 cents and they sell it to you for $10. So you're not actually paying that much money. Not to mention, you're able to eat way more, like twice as much more food and still have the same amount of calorie intake. Let me prove it to you. So on the left here, you can see we have a homemade stuffed crust pizza. It's 900 calories, 80 grams of protein, 105 grams of carbs, and 15 grams of fat. But over here on the right, you can see it's way less pizza. It's more calories, so 1,000 to 1,200. It's like half the protein, only 45 grams. It's more carbs at 115 grams of carbs, and it's way more fat. It's like more than triple the fat, 60 grams of fat. And it's the same here on the left. Homemade cheeseburger, you get literally 2 cheeseburgers and way more fries. And on the right, you get 1 cheeseburger and just a little bit of fries. And the macros are way better on the homemade stuff. And there's so many different examples of these. So you being able to show this to people, like, you can literally eat 2 burgers and fries every day. It's only 1,200 calories. And if you're able to do this, show them how and show them how to actually work it into the routine and do the rest, dude, that's how you sell right there. You actually give people value and you shift their beliefs so that they are closer to the sell. Next. Okay, so this is a visual representation of what this looks like. So here's what correcting looks like. Someone might say 1 + 1 = 3. And when you go ahead and say wrong, they're going to get frustrated, angry. You're going to cause friction and they're going to say no. And you're not going to get anywhere. Nobody's going to get anywhere. And then next is belief shifting by first understanding. 1 + 1 = 3. And then you can see, I see how you could think that. Just being able to say that, I see how you can think that. In fact, I thought that too until I found that 1 + 1 = 2. And then I was shocked. And then I was able to get my dream state. And now they're going to think, oh, shoot, I was wrong. And I'm one step closer to actually buying their product. Obviously, they're not going to sell that, but it's a psychological thing. It's subconscious. And of course, that goes back to convincing people by showing that you are convinced. That's the example I just used. So understanding belief shifting exercises. So this is another one that is going to help you kind of wrap your head around beliefs and how to shift them as well. I want to ask you this question. Do you feel as though you choose your beliefs? Most people would say yes, but consider this. When people are asked, most would agree with the statement that they can choose their beliefs. But let's see if that's entirely true. Picture someone kidnapping your family and holding them at gunpoint. I know the example is extreme, and I hear this in sales all the time. It kind of makes me cringe, but it's just like, let's just say it's life and death, okay? The kidnapper says, the only way you get your family back is if you believe that I'm Jesus. Now, the best you can do is say that you believe he's Jesus, but still, actually believing him is something that's completely different. So you'll be like, okay, all right, man, like you're Jesus for sure, but do you actually believe that? Probably not. Now imagine he turned water into wine, walked on water, and then casually proceeded to split the sea. Then would you believe him? You'd be like, oh, damn, this dude is actually Jesus. You can't get people to truly believe something without first submitting the evidence that it's true. With strong enough evidence, it's difficult to not hold certain beliefs. Not only is this a copywriting lesson, but also a lesson in life in general. And so to understand how to actually show proof, we have proof showing strategies. Number 1 is analogies. Okay, so understanding how to utilize these in your copy, and of course, we're going to go over tons and tons and tons of examples, but understanding how to utilize these proof showing strategies or justifications is going to let you create very persuasive writing. And everything in copywriting is persuasive. Every advertisement that you see, every video sales letter, every email, everything is meant to shift your beliefs. So let's go into actually how we're going to do that. First and foremost is analogies, a way to explain something by comparing it to something else that is easier to understand. It's like saying a computer is like a brain because it processes information. Okay, so that's the analogy. Next is quotes. Quotes are powerful because they provide authoritative support for an idea, making it more credible. They also resonate emotionally with readers, helping to enforce and shift their beliefs. Now, we have tons of examples at the bottom, so you're going to be able to better wrap your head around everything here. Next is, of course, statistics. Showing statistics is effective because they provide concrete factual evidence that support your claims. This helps to build trust and credibility, making it easier to convince people to change their minds. And next, of course, is more proof showing strategies. Cost narration. This one's big. Cost narration is important because it demonstrates the significant effort or investment behind your claim, making it more compelling. It shows the value and credibility of your knowledge, helping to convince others of its worth. Two more. One, hypothetical example. Hypothetical examples, much like analogies, are important because they illustrate how a concept can be applied in real life situations, making it easier to understand. They help readers visualize potential outcomes, making your argument more relatable and convincing. And then last but certainly not least is borrowed authority, kind of like quotes. Borrowed authority is effective because it leverages the credibility of experts or well-respected sources to support your claim. This association enhances the trustworthiness of your argument, making it more persuasive to your audience. So let's just go over some examples. So quotes. As Steve Jobs once said, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Now, this works because let's say I said this. You're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, I don't know. But this is like this dude. Who knows him? He's some online dude. You just met me. But you know Steve Jobs. You know, if you're in business, you know he's the guy to listen to. If you don't listen to Steve Jobs, I don't know who you can listen to if you're trying to build a business. That's how quotes work. Next is statistics. Studies show that 80% of new businesses fail within the first 5 years. Okay, that's a real statistic too. Next is cost narration. I've spent 5 years and $10,000 researching the best fitness routines to develop this program. Here's how it works. You're showing exactly what goes into you actually knowing what you know. And then the next is the hypothetical examples. Would you rather have a 90% chance of growing your business year over year or a 3% chance to double your revenue? So would you rather a high probability, low growth, or would you want a low probability, high risk, high amount of possible growth? That's what the hypothetical example is. And what that could be proving is when it comes to scaling, you don't want to scale your business too aggressively because then you're risking what you already have. Whereas if you scale it consistently over time and scale it the smart way, you have a lower chance of blowing up your business. Next is borrowed authority. According to Harvard Business Review, companies that invest in employee training see a 24% increase in profit. Everybody knows what Harvard is. Everybody trusts a Harvard Business Review because they are the top Ivy League school. And then last but certainly not least is analogies. Building a successful business is like growing a garden. You need the right tools, patience, and care for it to flourish. Okay, pretty simple, straightforward, and easy to understand. Next is inspiring instant action. What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Tyson 4D. Without any further ado, let's hop right back into the free mega course, starting with talking about inspiring instant action, what this looks like, what this means, how to do it, so on and so forth, and how to use it in our copywriting. So how to make people take action. And people with copywriting, a lot of the times they get confused. They get confused because they think copywriting is just for selling, but copywriting is for taking action. There are so many different steps between somebody finding out about a product and actually going ahead and buying it. You have to first initiate those belief shifts, and then you have to get people through the funnel. And then once people already buy, you have to get them to keep buying. So there's so many different parts of that, whether it be to click on a link, to buy something and take out your credit card and actually fill out a payment plan, and literally so much else. So every single step of the funnel is going to have an action associated with it. And next is using problem solution loop. This is essentially how you give someone value, but then you also give them something to click on and go to next. And then of course, action's biggest enemy, which is confusion, and how to eliminate the confusion, how to avoid it at all costs. So how to make people take action. In order to make people take action, you need to give them something that they want on the other side. And you do this with a call to action. This is essentially like you're leading them there with some bait or with like a cookie, for example. I'm going to give you something that you want, but in order to get that thing that you want, you have to take this action. Click here to learn how to convert more casual viewers into dream buyers is an example. Using the problem solution loops. Many copywriters struggle with the idea of how to give value inside their email while also giving a call to action at the end. And the answer is in problem solution loops. The more solutions we have, the more problems arise. Now that you know that losing weight isn't just about calories, but is just as much about learning how to avoid hunger, click here to XYZ. Learn how to lose weight by avoiding hunger at all costs. Lose weight while staying full. Now that you have this, and now that you know this, and now that you actually got the solution, you know what to do. If you want to know how to do it and have those exact steps, that is right here through the link. That is the problem solution loop. So this is what it looks like. Okay, these are open loops. So you start with something intriguing, a loop. I'm going to show you how to do XYZ. You close the loop, but you open it up again by letting them know. Just because you know how to do step one doesn't mean that you're going to have it all figured out. There are also other aspects that you're going to want to figure out. And if you want the solution to that, that's through the call to action, the link or buying or whatever the next step is. Now, action's biggest enemy is confusion. Confused readers don't click. They don't take action and they don't buy. When crafting a CTA or a call to action, the worst thing you can do is confuse the reader. So make sure you leave only one call to action at the end of your copy and make it simple and specific. This is something that people get wrong a lot because they're like, oh, well, at the end of this email, make sure you follow me on Instagram and go buy my course if you want, or go buy my other product if you want, or you can buy these 4 products. You have a choice of which one. When people have too many options, they never click. It doesn't ever happen. And now we have a surprise free value drop. So the 4D starter swipe file. This is essentially hundreds of pieces of copy that you can review, that you can check out, that you can break down, that you can get inspiration from inside of the 4D starter swipe file. Next, we have the 4D AI prompt pack. I'm going to go way deeper into creating copy with AI and going to be doing it in front of your eyes as we go on. But if you want the complete prompt pack, it is right here in the 4D AI prompt pack. And of course, the emails from scratch blueprint. I'm going to open this up. And as you can see, we have in here the emails from scratch blueprint. So we have the steps, we have the emails as well. So these are 3 emails that I created that you can go through, check them out, and you can see essentially what makes them tick. So you guys can get those 3 resources for free inside of the copy starter kit. I'm actually going to show you exactly what that looks like. So guys, here I am in the free copy starter kit. As you can see, I have way more than the stuff that I actually showed you right there. We have playbooks, we have the kit itself right here. We have the first client challenge. We have the mindset course, community trainings, and everything else down here as well. So if you guys want access to this complete thing, again, that is down for free below in the description. I mean, wow, just look at all this stuff. Swipe file, portfolio builder, email copywriting templates, outreach scripts. I mean, it is all just right in there. So now everybody, I would like to personally invite you to review some beginner copy from my private community. So this is me just essentially going through line by line on some of my students' copy. And the reason why this is going to be so valuable for you is because I promise you, you are going to make the exact same mistakes in your copy, but you're going to hopefully be able to learn and avoid those mistakes by just watching me review other people's copy. What you're going to do is you are going to develop what I call an inner mentor. So if you watch somebody review copy for hours and hours and hours on end, like you're probably going to watch me do by the end of this gigantic free mega course, the voice is now going to be ingrained in your mind. So while you're actually writing the copy, you're going to hear my voice say, you should make that lead shorter, or you should change the structure around. So you're going to be able to essentially quote me verbatim while you're reading over your own copy. And this is basically like the best way to actually get better at copy over a short amount of time. So without any further ado, let's hop right into the copywriting reviews. So this is for the Renzo agency guy. Renzo, I see him all over my thing. He's definitely a TikTok business guy. Understanding brand voice. So that's a bunch of stuff about his brand voice, the angle, the what's in it for me, the goal. Awesome. So warm up email. My boss fired me and helped me. I get what you're doing here. The concept is good. Concept is good. Execution is off. How would you guys critique this subject line? The thing is, like, I get what you're saying. Like, I'm glad that my boss fired me because it allowed me to work on my business and XYZ. But it sounds like your boss fired you and then like helped you out. Oh, he fired me and then he like paid for my groceries or something, right? That's what it sounds like. So it's kind of ambiguous. So we don't want things to be ambiguous. So I'd be like, my boss firing me was the best thing that ever happened. Now this is way too long for a subject line, but that's basically what you're trying to say. So what I might do is I would do some AI-ness around that. AI prompt. I fired my boss. Yeah, it's kind of a common angle. I fired my boss, but some people haven't heard it before. I've been in the biz ops space, so I've heard it for like, I said no to my boss. That one's a bit better, but still kind of ambiguous. And it made me a millionaire. Yeah, no, the preview actually kind of saves it. I might even make it more dramatic. I told my boss to, I don't know, something, expletive. I'm not really sure, but you can make it, I don't know. This is good. You have some good ideas here. I'm not sure. They might be able to be better though. They definitely might be able to be better. Hi Tyson. What if I told you one sentence changed the entire course of my life? I would bring it back here too. And what if I told you it could do the same for you too? How? And then I would go deeper. So what if I told you one sentence changed the entire course of my life? You can just say changed my life. Because remember, we're in the lead here. So in the lead, remember, you have to be really, really, really lean. Like you have to be extra conscious of the economy of words here. I might not even say, what if I told you? I could just start off with, one sentence changed my life. Tyson, life puts, I wouldn't even use the first name here. I would cut that. You're kind of overusing it. You already used it 2 lines ago, so I would cut. Life often puts us on a split path, and I faced such a moment once. If you find yourself stuck, my story might help you find your way. My way to what? Way to what? Might help you what? So he's like an agency guy, right? It was 2019. I entered at Microsoft. I became a robotics instructor teaching 6 to 9-year-old kids. Yeah, there's some things in here that are too specific, especially for the beginning of the email. Okay. Like if you say kids, in my mind, I think like 5, 7, which is basically what you're saying in here anyways. It was 2019. I interned at Microsoft. I became a robotics instructor teaching kids. See, although the job was quite easy, I still got fired on the first day. Yeah, this is something that I'd put this in the subject line. Like, I got fired on my first day, led to me becoming a millionaire or something. Now, you might be wondering, how did a former Microsoft intern get fired from a job he found easy? It's not because I screwed up at the job. It's not because, I just put or. It's not because I screwed up at the job or showed up late or because I tried to steal my boss's Monday morning coffee, LOL. I got fired because I hated what I was doing. My boss asked me, "Do you like what you're doing?" I replied, "No." Then he said, "I'm going to do you a favor and fire you. I know you can do better, trust me." This incident changed my life because my boss understood a very important concept. Passion and